I'm going to tell you what I know about Tom Beech. You might have heard his name on the news. Tom Beech. If you were from around here, you'd have known him as Little John. Big John was his father. Wherever you found Big John, you'd find Little John. And after Ella died, that's Tom's mom. After she died, it was just them two and the farm. Tom's story gets interesting to most people when he shoots that senator in the head. Tom was interesting before that, though. Chapter 1. Little John. I met the Beech family through our neighbor Frankie DeVree. Frank's farm was next to theirs. I loaned him some horses when Tom was 4 years old. It was one of those horses that kicked Tom in the head and started his troubles. Tommy was a good kid. He never wanted any trouble. The cops in town knew his story, so if he got up to something, they'd bring him my way, so as not to upset Big John. Most of the time, whatever he did, it was a friend of his who put him up to it. So, the first thing they asked me after Tommy shot that senator was if I knew who put him up to it. Little John wouldn't do this alone, they told me. There must have been somebody who manipulated him. A friend, a girlfriend, a coach, maybe me. But it wasn't hard getting through to Tommy. You just had to look him in the eye when you talked to him. Now, some people had a hard time with that. He had the eyes of a killer before being a killer. But if you would look him straight in his eyes, he'd stop his world to listen to you. He got that from Big John. Because whenever Little John spoke, Big John stopped. All 20 stone of him bent on that boy's words. Hearing that one of my horses kicked Little John in the head, I figured Big John's putting a bullet in mine. He'd served in the war. He was no stranger to killing. I'd seen him at early service Sunday past, and Father Bennett's sermon that day was on mercy. Mercy for the sinner. Mercy for the ignorant. Mercy for those who know not what they do. I didn't know what happened until Ella called me and told me Tommy got kicked and was on his way to the hospital. She said he might not make it. She told me Big John was coming for me and he took his gun with him. I told her I'd be here waiting for him. His truck came down my lane before I finished my cigarette. He got out and put his gun and a carton of smokes on the hood of his truck. He told me how one of my horses kicked his son in the head and cracked his skull right open, and he blamed me. He turned his gun to point the barrel at me and said Ella would call us from the hospital, and that we were going to wait by the phone until she called to tell us whether Tommy lived or died. In his own quiet way, he made it loud and clear to me. If Little John died, Big John would shoot me dead. So, there we sat in my kitchen, smoking a lot, talking a little. I brought out some whiskey. We made a deal. If Tommy lived and were touched in the head, I owed Big John a debt. I had to repay the lost labor of a firstborn son. I had to arrange whatever support Little John might need. and I had to replace the horse that kicked Tom with another one, and Tom got to keep that horse. Tommy lived, but he was touched in the head. My wife, Anna, didn't think I did well in the deal I made with Big John. She got pulled into it because Little John needed a tutor. Turns out Ella did too. Her English wasn't so good. So there'd be days where I was working the fields with Big John, and there'd be Ella, Tommy, and Anna talking Dutch and English in the kitchen. Anna and Ella became good friends pretty quick. Best friends before long. It was a happy story for a little while. Happiest time of Tommy's young life. But about a year after it all started, it all got taken away from him. Car crash. Anna and Ella in the front seats. Tommy in the back. Only Tommy lived. That was hard on the kid. He went pretty quiet after. Big John was quiet by nature. Boy, it was quiet after the girls died. It felt like it fell to me to talk for all three of us when we were working the farms together. So I tried to fill the silence as best I knew how. If it was just me and Tommy, I'd hum a tune or tell him some stories about what his mom was like before she died. I'd tell him how much she loved him and how proud she'd be of what a good farmhand he was becoming. He really took that seriously, making his dead mom proud by working hard on the farm. There wasn't much a little guy like him could do, and the way he was touched in the head, there wasn't much we could trust him with. He was a fast runner, though, so I'd tell him to go fetch a wrench or a screwdriver from his dad for me, and off he'd go running. And then his dad would tell him he needed a C-clamp or an anchor bolt from me, and off he'd go running. We didn't actually need the stuff half the time, but it kept the boy busy, and it got him learning about tools and hardware.